Jazz clubs around the world are sitting empty, but jazz musicians will always have great music and stories to share. And since jazz fans aren't able to get out to hear great music, we will deliver jazz to you at home. Welcome to Jazz Home Delivery with Tim Tamashiro. Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Tamashiro. Welcome to Jazz Home Delivery here on behalf of the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Appreciation Time here. It's just too many words. International Jazz Days. It's a virtual festival. It's taking place over 28 days. And I promise that at some point in time during the 28 days, I'll get that title right. I'm very excited to be welcoming two special guests here this evening. We have Tricia Edwards, who is a classical pianist who's turned to jazz now in her life and loves going to New York on what she calls listening vacations. We're going to learn all about that. And we also have Allison, who is a Juno award-winning saxophonist who recently debuted a brand new commissioned work at Koerner Hall in Toronto. Please welcome our friends Tricia and Allison. There they are. Hello. Give us a wave. We got a wave. Hi, Allison.
Hello.
There we go. We're wondering how everybody is doing tonight, and we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to leave a comment or say hello from wherever you are. So please let us know what's going on. Tricia, you have been spending the day wrapping yourselves in keyboards.
Yes, this is my happy place. As I was telling you just before this, my friends, they don't get to go out anymore. So I said, there's a party tonight. You should all come.
And they all came
They all showed up, yes.
they all wore black and white. It's like a black and white ball.
Yes.
It's
very
perfect. We're looking forward to talking to you here in just a few minutes. Allison, you're in your seclusion. Is that like a sensory deprivation type of a closet that you're in, or what?
It's a sound attenuating booth. It's because I live in a townhouse and our neighbors their young family with 3 young kids. And one of the kids' bedroom is right beside my music room. So I have a little bit of an enclosure just so that I can practice whenever I need to without bothering our neighbors.
And it does the job, hey?
Yeah, it's quite effective. It's really good. Yeah.
It's quite amazing. Well, we're looking forward to hearing you play in that, and the neighbors will not hear you, I promise.
That's right.
Yeah. Allison, I'm going to go over and talk to Tricia to begin the show off with. Thank you both for being on the show. I'm just pushing a few magic buttons here. Boom and boom. There's just the two of us now in the room, Tricia.
Great.
I'm so glad to have you on the show.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You've told me that you have been spending this time practicing and just kind of, reacquainting yourself with your keyboards and learning new skills. And you also told me that you won't be ever poorer for doing it. What did you mean by that?
I won't be ever poor.
Yeah, you won't be poorer for putting the time into technology and learning.
Yes, because I'm sure you find that in the regular schedule of things, you have things you have to prepare for, deadlines and prescribed things that you have to do for certain gigs. And so there's something kind of nice about having this time where you can just woodshed and kind of go down the rabbit hole and explore new things and try new things with sadly, no performances, but it also means no immediate deadlines that you have to meet
Yeah, for sure. And unfortunately, you lost out on, you were supposed to be performing at our brand new jazz club in Calgary, which is Alvin's. And because of COVID, that one kind of snuck out the door. I know, big tears, because it's really a fun place to play. And the people down there really do appreciate it. So
yeah, we were really looking forward to being there, but optimistic the chance will come again in the future.
That's all we can do, right? I had a lovely conversation with you and just kind of getting to know you a little bit, because I don't think we've really spent much time chatting. And you're telling me about you made the comparison to when silent movies moved to talkies. Some people dove into it and some people didn't, but now we're all into talkies. Do you really embrace that idea of saying, okay, well, we're in COVID now, so embrace new ideas and see if we can make them work?
Well, it's uncomfortable. I don't think anyone would choose it for that to happen, but it is true that throughout history, artists have faced paradigm shifts. Things have changed sometimes quickly. And we don't know in this case if this is a short thing or a long thing. We all hope it's a short thing. But art continues to be made even through these changes. So I think we just stumble forward and try new things and figure new things out. And I think in the end, history looks back and goes, oh, well, Shakespeare was writing plays during the plague, but
yeah,
he had Shakespeare. So
that's such a good point. And you're no stranger to, facing challenges and then melding into something new. You started off your career as a classical pianist, but now you've morphed into jazz. Can you tell us about your journey into this change?
Sure. Yeah, I did a bachelor's and master's degree in piano performance at the University of Alberta. We spent some time living overseas, and I continued to play. There was a stage where I probably did too much too soon after a hiatus, and ended up with tendonitis. Ooh. And so stopped playing for a couple months, and then really wanted to do something musical again, but couldn't quite go back to what I was doing before. So I decided just for fun to take some jazz piano lessons with a good friend of both of ours, Derek Stoll.
Yeah.
And start out as a beginner doing that again. And he's obviously a very good teacher because I got completely hooked, and then just kept going with it and kept playing. And now I probably play more jazz than classical stuff. I still do some accompanying at the U of C and for different classical players, but most of my solo playing or ensemble playing is now jazz and in the Latin genre.
So now you get the best of three worlds, right?
I know, it's beautiful.
The best of three worlds.
Jack of all trades, master of none of them. But
oh yeah, I mean, you're a master of a lot of them. It's so when you play classical music now, is it a different physical experience? Do you notice your body compensating in different ways for your injury, or do you still have your injury for that matter?
No, the injury has gone away, but yeah, it is. I do find when I play classical music, the physical approach is different, but definitely I found that they inform each other. So I think as a jazz player differently because of my classical background. And I think when I'm playing classical, because of the jazz stuff I've studied and worked on, I think my classical playing is different. So I'm thankful to have had the opportunity to do both.
Yeah. Was it weird? I've talked to a handful of artists on the show already that have made the transition from classical to jazz. Was it like learning a new language for you? What was it like to play blues for the first time? Was it alien?
Oh, it's definitely like learning a new language, and very humbling. I might even say more than humbling. I might say very humiliating.
Humiliating.
Because you're sort of used to a certain standard and a certain level of proficiency. And then I used to go down to the beatnik jams when we had the beatnik, and Jerry Aubert was hosting jams every Thursday night, and he would very kindly let me get up and stumble through something and then fall on my face. And the next week he would very kindly let me get up again and stumble through something else. And just over time, with like everything else, it's a muscle, or you exercise it and it gets stronger and you get better.
Yeah, and therein lies the secret of getting stronger, is that you face the fear and you did it anyway, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
It's fascinating. Fascinating stuff. I want to hear you play a song. You've prepared a couple of tunes here for us, and the first one is a Latin tune of sorts called "Old Town Road." Can you tell me about the song before we put it on for you?
Well, I'm still teaching about the students via Zoom, and there's this song everywhere on the radio called Old Town Road, and some of them wanted to play it. So I made them a little chart to learn it. And then I figured, since, we don't have Stampede, people might be missing Stampede, maybe. They wouldn't have heard this at Stampede. But I might do my own arrangement of Old Town Road, and that's what I'm going to do now. With
your special zhuzh to it.
Exactly.
I do love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Tricia Edwards is appearing on behalf of the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days, the 28-day long festival right here online. It's a virtual festival, the only festival in Canada right now that we know of that's actually going ahead. So we're really excited to have you, Tricia. Thank you so much. Here is Tricia now with Old Town Road. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, Tricia Edwards doing her thing, playing the most keyboards that we've had on the show so far.
Oh, did I beat Steve Fletcher?
You totally beat Steve Fletcher because he only played 2 of his keyboards, even though he said he had 15 of them. You played all 4 that you have on display, so you win.
I win. Yeah.
You win. And you can rub that in his face if you like. That'd be
Definitely.
wonderful.
Next time I see him. Yeah.
That was great. Thank you so much for performing that for us. Wonderful, wonderful tune. Old Town Road. Tricia Edwards joining us here on the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days. And coming up, we still have our talk with Allison out as well. And we're excited about that. Now, Tricia, you were telling me about the most wonderful vacations that you go. You go to New York City on what you call listening vacations. Tell me more and how I got to go and do this.
Yes, for sure you have to. So I would say 4 or 5 times my husband and I have saved up our pennies and gone to New York for 3, 4, or 5 days and just done. Thankfully, he will willingly put up with 24/7 of music. And I have a couple of people I go down there and take lessons with, and it's just a reinvigorating time, soaking up new sounds and learning new things. And I just love it.
What is a listening vacation? How do you prepare for a listening vacation? You book a few things and kind of take your chances on others?
Have a few things planned, but I think one of the keys to it being great is leaving some unscheduled time where you just wander around and walk into places and find stuff. And some of the most memorable listening experience were times where it wasn't the plan, and we just ended up somewhere and heard something amazing.
Do you have an example that you could share with us?
Oh, well, there was one night we were going to go to I think it was a cumbia show that we were going to go to, and then we showed up at the venue and couldn't even, just packed shoulder to shoulder. This was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Completely packed, couldn't get in the room, and so just started searching online for other things that were going on, and took a couple subways and ended up in Queens, I think, at some brand new jazz club that was actually in a neighborhood, not really in a commercial district at all.
Cool.
And looked like maybe someone's converted house or something. And there was a big band, and it was 4 Japanese women composers who had taken a composition course, and they were presenting original big band music that they had all written, and they each conducted 2 or 3 works, brand new works. And it was one of the most memorable musical evenings of my life. It was amazing.
All on just a whim, and you went, well, we could try this.
Well, and that's why New York is such a cool place, because, you can just wander in somewhere and hear epic musicianship and wonderful writing. And yeah, it was a great evening.
You never know in that town, hey? And even in Toronto, you'll show up to a place and never really know what to expect, but kind of go, well, I'm glad I had that experience.
Exactly. Yes.
That is very, very cool. I hope you get to go on many, many more listening vacations. Have you ever gone to New Orleans for a listening vacation?
I have not.
No?
No. I should put that on the list.
I recommend it. It really is. It really is a treat. It's one of those kind of towns where you never know if you're going to hear roots music or jazz or old-timey jazz or whatever the case. But usually you walk in, and I had one of those experiences where I wept going to a gospel brunch and hearing my first gospel choir singing full-throated. And my wife and I just couldn't help but have tears streaming down our faces, because it was just a wall of love. It was just incredible. And again, it was one of those things we didn't expect, but boy, when it hit us, wow, pretty amazing.
Exactly.
So you have a new album coming out. Is it out now?
No, the last one was 2018.
Okay.
Intaglios.
Intaglios, yeah.
Anticipate working on, actually, so this summer, everything's canceled. I will be at home. I have no excuse not to start writing.
Tell me what intaglios is, because it's a fascinating word that bears a lot of meaning.
Well, I have a daughter who's an artist and was an ACAD at the time. And it's a printmaking technique where you engrave in a surface design, and then you can print it on another surface. And I think it's just thinking back over, having, as we've talked about, having experiences as a classical musician and as a jazz musician, and then working in the Latin music scene in Calgary here. I wanted to do a project that reflected all those different experiences. The idea being that, your musical soul is engraved with all these different experiences, and then find a way to blend the languages and incorporate them, hopefully, and make something new and hopefully wonderful.
From the combination of your experiences. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Well, and I would imagine it would have been a real special treat to include your daughter in on your album. I mean, that's something I dream of one day.
Yes. Well, then she did the graphic design, and she actually did the cover art. We went at ACAD in the stairwell. There's a place where students were allowed to spray paint the walls. It was okay. And so she spray painted. We weren't breaking any laws.
Yeah.
I was aiding and abetting a criminal with my kid. She painted a design on the wall, and then we took the photos for the cover art in front of her painting. So
and
that was very special too.
And that's captured in time because of the photographs, because that painting now is under
long gone, yes.
layers and layers and layers. Yeah.
Every day there was new art in the walls. So yeah, it's long gone.
Super cool. So the song, is this song on your album, the spring song? Is that one on Intaglios?
Yes, it is, because this is a common Calgary occurrence, snow in the spring. And so I wrote a tune about it. On the album, actually, there's 4 of us playing. So this is the solo keyboard version of it.
But there's all sorts of stuff that people can look forward to on here, and including bird sounds and what else?
That started out That started out, I was just messing with my cats when I pulled the keyboard out and then just decided, why not? Let's throw it in there.
And it's perfect. And I got to throw this in because tomorrow, not only is it Mother's Day, but it's International Migratory Bird Day as well.
I did not know that. That's exciting.
I only found out about it, but I've been telling everybody it's Migratory Bird Day on.
So in honor of Migratory Bird Day, yes, we added some birds to the arrangement.
That's perfect. Well, we're looking forward to hearing this song. Our friend Tricia Edwards is here with the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days. And here she is with her song, Spring Song. Here's Tricia Edwards. Tricia Edwards, ladies and gentlemen, Spring Song. Hopefully that helped you get a feeling of spring. I'm pushing the applause button for you now, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's necessary to have an applause button on a show like this because, we got to make sure that you feel the love. And,
I'm feeling love.
There's hundreds of people watching right now. And the interesting thing is that after the shows are all done, there's thousands of people that watch after the actual broadcast. So it's important to give you the kudos from all the people watching. So
thank you very much,
job.
Tim.
I'm looking forward to finding out what all your good creativity and your time spending on yourself and working on your craft, what it's going to net and results. And I want you to make sure that you promise you keep in touch and let us know what's come out of this, maybe the silver lining.
For sure, Tim. Thanks so much for this chance to talk. And it's been great to connect and talk about music.
Yes.
Such a great topic.
Thank you. You sit right there. I'm going to go over and talk with our friend Allison, okay? Will you excuse me?
Hey, thanks,
okay.
For sure.
Here we go. Allison, there you are, sitting there on the screen by yourself right now. It's going to be me and you, though. So happy to have you here on the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
You've been using your time as well to work on projects to stay inspired, you say. What kind of projects?
Oh, lots of different things. I mean, I'm trying to find a balance of non-musical and musical things to kind of keep my inspiration going.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been reading a lot, different books, fiction, nonfiction. I've been trying to learn some French or brush up on my French. It's not very good, but trying.
That's amazing.
um, yeah, I'm trying my best. And you know what? It's so great with, access to the internet, of course. Like, that's one thing that I'm so grateful we have this time.
Yeah.
If there was no internet, we wouldn't be able to do this. But I think it would have closed off a lot of doors, obviously, for, such vital communication and just access to so many different resources. So I feel fortunate that we're in the age of podcasts. There's so many great language podcasts and, so many different topics. And so I feel very lucky.
What is it about language that fascinates you? You've mentioned that you want to learn French. Do other languages fascinate you as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a kid, my parents exposed us to Cantonese lessons. My dad's Chinese. It's quite a difficult language. I mean, I can pick out little words, and on the menu, I have an idea of some food items. But
well, that's handy.
it's a pretty, but it's a pretty challenging language. I never picked it up to the point of fluency. Yeah. French to me is a little bit more attainable, and I suppose because of our exposure as kids in Canada to French at a young age. So I feel like it's kind of closer, in the sense of me being able to converse. Yeah. But I think language, like music, is just the ability to communicate with others in a way that you just find common ground,
Yeah, so that it's meaningful.
Absolutely. And just a way to access, I mean, in the case of languages, it's another culture, maybe it's cuisine or something. And I guess more, it's all these other layers too.
Yeah, for sure. You've had an interesting emotional experience that you premiered. It was a new piece of music that you were commissioned by the Royal Conservatory and debuted in January at Koerner Hall. This was a work that you based on your family history. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about your family history and how it kind of folded into your choice to do music around it?
Certainly. I was approached to do a commission by the Royal Conservatory in the fall of last year. And the theme, I knew my ensemble would be opening for Danilo Perez's Global Jazz Ensemble. So I was trying to find a theme that would be global in scope. And as I was brainstorming some ideas, I realized I really didn't have to go far with my own family history because it is global in scope as well. So I thought that would be a really unique way and something individual to me to write about and to make a bit more personal. So yeah, it turned out I did some digging. I talked to my parents. I spent a long time talking about our family stories. And I followed
two very different, unique, what can I call it? Like parts of the world.
Backgrounds. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And they shared something really interesting in common.
Certainly. Yeah. I decided to kind of follow the journeys of my grandparents and then subsequently my own parents and how they came to Canada. On my father's side, I'm first generation Canadian. On my mom's side, I'm second generation. On my mom's side, her parents are both from very small villages in Poland, and they're both Holocaust survivors. My grandfather survived the concentration camps in Auschwitz-Birkenau. And they met and were married in Israel in 1950, and they migrated to Canada in 1951. They were hoping to go to the U.S., where my grandmother's family had already migrated right after the war. But the quota for Jews was already filled at that time, so they opted for Montreal. So they wound up in Montreal where my mother was born. And then on my father's side, both of my grandparents are from southern China, Guangdong province. And they're both from a very, very small rural village. And my grandfather was born in the late 1800s.
Wow.
And was one of very few individuals to be educated in his village. And he migrated to Malaysia in the early 1900s for work and looking for a new opportunity. And then my grandmother soon followed suit. It was an arranged marriage. She was the second wife. Yeah, so she followed, and they were wed in Malaysia, and then that's where my father was born. So all these stories, I guess I should finish how my dad came to Canada. So my father came to Canada via England. He pursued medical studies in England. And then it was recommended by a professor for him to come to Toronto to finish his studies at University of Toronto.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that's my parents met. My mom was a nursing student and my dad was a surgery student, and they met in Toronto, and I guess the rest is history.
The rest is history. And now here's beautiful Allison.
But I thought, through all of that and exploring those stories, which is so common to so many individuals, especially in a country like Canada, I think, where, historically, Canada has welcomed so many different immigrants of all, different nationalities, ethnicities, and religions. So this story is like, it's not unique to me at all. It's such a universal story of how people leave their family and their homes behind and how they forge new lives, and new families and new countries. So I wanted to explore that through my history, to kind of investigate those select emotions and kind of the adversity that so many individuals go through to start life anew.
Yeah, and it would be emotional for you to talk to your parents about this, and
absolutely,
yeah, how do you put that into music so that it's not heavy?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, this project featured Laila Bialy on vocals. It's the first project that I've undertaken that has made use of lyrics, because generally I write mostly instrumental music for my main ensemble.
And it's hard to sing with a saxophone.
That's right. That would be challenging.
Yeah.
So I kind of looked for some poetry to inspire the words behind the music, and in turn, it really inspired the music that I started to write. So from this poetry, I found some really incredible Native Canadian poets, some African American writers as well, who all explore these themes of feeling foreign, the feelings of isolation, in cultural isolation, physical isolation, feeling different than others, or within your community.
Yeah.
And then kind of the legacy that we leave behind for our children when we leave our original families and homes and try to start life somewhere else.
Yeah, massive decision.
Yeah, so those lyrics kind of imbued the music. And when I was writing the music, I kind of just let the words inspire what types of sounds and textures I would end up using. So I don't know if it sounds like heavy music. I think I tried to make it as melodic and colorful, to kind of represent all the different spectrum of emotions that one might have gone through for a journey like this.
Okay, yeah, it's fascinating. It is a fascinating story, and I could see how it would be, one of those projects where you would just be exceedingly proud of the fact that you got a chance to do it, and that you got to have those conversations with your parents about their parents.
Absolutely, I think it's such a meaningful. I mean, for this project in particular, I didn't anticipate myself going down that road specifically. It kind of just happened organically as I was thinking about the themes I wanted to incorporate. But it's such a meaningful thing for me to be able to talk to my parents and share these stories. Though I heard them as a kid, I think as an adult, you have a totally different filter and how you understand your ancestry and what your relatives had gone through.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different perspective as an adult, like looking back.
I'll bet. And
yeah.
So what did it feel like when you played it, when you premiered it at Koerner Hall?
I mean, yeah, it was really exciting. I think I was certainly quite emotional. I tried to subdue it, because I could see I could have cried possibly, but sure. I did cry a lot when I was writing the music. It was a pretty emotional process for me. I think I was really trying to channel and really imagine myself in the shoes of my grandparents and my parents, having gone through these family experiences. But the performance itself, it was a lot of fun, and it was a wonderful opportunity to collaborate with the musicians on the stage. And as I was saying, a special project with Laila, and For this performance, I also expanded my quartet somewhat with strings and a vibraphone too.
Wow.
So it was a bigger ensemble for this.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was
what
really fun.
What a lovely experience to go through.
Certainly, yeah.
I had prepared a little slide presentation, but I forgot to put it onto onto my setup here. Okay. But I'm wondering if you'd be so kind as to read this poem that you read at the premiere. Do you have that handy? It's a Langston Hughes poem. I do.
Yeah, it's a Langston Hughes poem. So, as I was saying earlier, a lot of the lyrics I used for this project were borrowed from these incredible poets. And I found two by the wonderful Langston Hughes, who is very much part of the Harlem Renaissance era in New York City in the 1930s. And so, yeah, I thought I would read one of the poems I based one of the songs on. And it's called I Dream a World. And to me, the lyrics really embody kind of the aspiration or what I hope that we can all aspire to as people living together. And hopefully we can be united in this. So I'll read the lyrics now.
Please do.
I dream a world where man, no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its paths adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blights our day. A world I dream where black and white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth, and every man is free. Where wretchedness will hang its head, and joy like a pearl attends the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream my world.
It's a beautiful poem, and fingers crossed, maybe someday we'll get there. Fingers crossed.
I know. I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, for sure. You've been kind enough to record a couple of songs for us, and I'd like to play one of those songs. This is a blues song. Are you just blowing the blues, or is this based on some particular type of a particular song?
Yeah, well, this is a Clifford Brown tune called Sandu.
Oh, okay.
And I think, the blues has always been the gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
It's such a well-known jazz form, and so many incredible musicians have continued to use it as a vehicle to continue to build on your creativity and your vocabulary and continue to grow your voice, I think, as an artist. And throughout this quarantine, it's really been a great time for me to just practice playing as a solo saxophonist and trying to find new ways to make the song sound complete to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
So this is my attempt to do a solo blues.
That's amazing. And I love that you recorded it there in the Matrix.
Yes, that's
that you're sitting in. I want to play that right now. It's Allison O appearing here on the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days Virtual Festival. Here she is, blowing over Sandu. Allison O. Apparently, we have a bit of a technical mix-up, and there's no sound on that video that I was trying to play. So it was there was sound there when I played it before. I don't exactly know what happened there, but let's just say that was Allison Au playing saxophone as Marcel Marceau, the famous mime-ist. I don't know what happened. I have absolutely no idea what's happening. So this is the first time that has ever happened, but hopefully your next song we'll actually have you making sound.
Awesome.
I'm working on it. This is never a perfect process, but I apologize to you,
course.
Allison.
No worries. No worries.
Oh man, if only you had your saxophone with you right now. We're gonna try coming back to that again. I wanted to ask you one of those questions that everybody would, everybody in Canada, every musician in Canada would probably wonder, what's it like to hear your name that you've won a Juno?
It's pretty surreal. I mean, when the year that we won, I was obviously beside myself. It was lovely to be in the company of my other bandmates when we won the award.
Yeah.
Actually, when the ceremony was in Calgary, that was back in 2016.
I know, that was lovely. I remember seeing you around town and saying hi a couple of times. It was amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's an incredible honor, and to know just kind of the legacy of former winners, and to be in such incredible company. It was such an honor to be acknowledged. I think every time musicians put music out, you hope that just one person will listen to it. You never know who's listening.
Yeah.
So to know that other people have listened and to receive that recognition is really special. And it was such an honor.
Yeah.
Really.
And it's a hell of a nice thing to add to your resume, isn't it?
It doesn't hurt, but no, I feel very, very gracious and very thankful for that experience.
That's amazing. So, well, keeping fingers crossed that maybe there's another one in the future for you as well. So then you can have bookends, right? Important to work towards. So during your time now, you've been working on creativity and learning French and trying new music and practicing and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned something else to me that I thought was fascinating. You said that you've unknowingly opened up a new creative process. What do you mean by that?
Well, perhaps through this project that I just finished, using the approach of writing music through lyrics is something that's really new to me.
Yeah.
And was kind of kickstarted through writing this music for this commission. So I'm kind of hoping to access my writing approach through this new vehicle, which I never would have otherwise done. Mm-hmm. So I'm continuing at the moment right now to take some other poems and find ways to write music to words in different ways. Hoping to add to the body of work that was written for the first project at the moment. Mm. But it's certainly spurring my imagination in different ways.
The original project was 28 minutes long. That was comprised of how many movements or pieces?
Yeah, well, I wrote it in kind of 8 movements. So they're like 8 short pieces that kind of flow through each other, following the journey of someone who would have left home. So I kind of tried to compartmentalize it in that way. And each poem kind of reflects a different stage of that journey of leaving home, being on this voyage, which could be an adventure, obviously, as well. So I've tried to find ways to combine these, like, just this ball of emotions in so many different ways through the journey. And
you may add to that then, right?
Yes, I'm hoping to do that right now. So at the moment, I've selected some other poetry that I didn't have a chance to write music for this project. And I'm now trying to write more music so that I can add it to the suite, so we can kind of expand upon it.
And then down the road, when it's an opportunity again, maybe you can bring that to communities around Canada and around the world so that you can share that as well, right?
I'm hoping so. Yeah, the performance was very, very positively received. And I see a lot of potential with the ensemble. And I hope that because it's such a global message, and I feel like, certainly resonates with me, but I'm biased. But I could see how just after that concert, a lot of people came up to me saying how much they identified with some of the stories. So I'm hoping that at some point that we'll be able to share this with different audiences through a more of a story-like kind of presentation, where I could share some of these accounts of what my family had gone through.
Yeah. Well, it's an important story to tell, and I know it's going to resonate with a lot of people as you continue to tell it. When times are, it would be interesting to see that online at some point in time as well. I'm just saying.
No pressure. Yeah.
No pressure.
No, we'd love to do that at some point. I think this is a doubly interesting time with the quarantine. Yes, because of this influx of people sharing online where maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. I know we were already kind of in that trajectory.
Yeah.
For so many musicians, for promotion and stuff, we're already going to Instagram and Facebook video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's certainly now become part of the norm, more than it had, say, even like 2 months ago.
Yeah, for sure. And we just have to find ways to make it meaningful for the people at home that are watching, right? Or might be at all interested.
Absolutely.
We have another song here, and we're going to see if hopefully it's all teed up properly and whatnot. But what can you tell me about this particular song?
This next piece is by one of my favorite composers named Billy Strayhorn. And he's such an incredible writer, somebody who I've kind of fell in love with his writing as a college student in music school. He famously collaborated with Duke Ellington. And myth has it, or the jazz lore has it, that they wrote so similarly that I think at some point they didn't know who wrote which parts.
They forgot.
Sometimes
Did you
Duke
write
Ellington
that?
That's right. Or from what I've heard from stories is that one of them would start a piece and the other would finish, or they'd kind of trade off portions of the writing process.
Yeah.
So this is one of his pieces, and it's called Upper Manhattan Medical Group.
Okay, let's give it a shot here. JazzYYC TD International Jazz Days presents Allison Au. Let's see. We're keeping our fingers crossed that this is going to work. Okay, here we go. Apparently that video has no sound either.
Oh no. Okay.
So you have been the most quiet saxophone player we've ever had. I just imported it in again. I'm gonna try it again because I just imported it in. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming to rehearsal. Here we go. Allison Au. I'm gonna try it with this one. Let's see what happens. No luck.
Okay.
Something has transpired in the transmorphification of the video from wherever it was that you sent it to where we have it here.
Okay.
And I feel real disappointed in that. So you know what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that there's a video of this reposted.
Okay.
And we're going to make sure that we have both your performances on it and fix it. You know? People don't even need to know that there's been a problem. We're going to fix it. My apologies to you, Allison. And you're such a wonderful,
worries.
You're such a wonderful sport and such a wonderful saxophone player and a real light. And I do appreciate having you on the show regardless. So, I wish I had a saxophone and I could just emulate you or something like that.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay. Well, I guess we just kind of have to call it there. I'm going to invite all three of us into the room here. There's Tricia Edwards and Allison Au. And boy, this is an embarrassment. I know that Tricia, your videos worked out perfectly. Allison's had a little bit of a hiccup, but very glad to have you both on the show. And I've learned a lot from both of you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was an honor.
Yes, thank you. It's great to be here.
I'm not classically trained. You know, I joke that I went straight from the shower to the stage when it came to singing, and you know, at my advanced age now, I'm understanding how important that time and energy and training is. You know, as you get older, your instrument gets a little bit more fragile. So I'm studying it now, and I have a brand new appreciation for everything that you've each done in order to achieve the results that you've gotten.
Oh, thanks. But it's what a gift. What an awesome process to just be part of at any stage, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. And I'm looking forward to the day when you are both on stages and blowing people away with your talent. I want to say thank you so much to JazzYYC for putting this whole thing together and for making sure that we're getting out there and supporting Canadian musicians. And you two are a real treasure. So thanks again. Say goodbye to everybody. We're going to go thank the sponsors.
Tim. Thanks, Tim.
It's been great.
Okay, thanks. Take care, you guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. JazzYYC would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support that has helped bring this virtual jazz festival to you. TD, Jazz Home Delivery, the City of Calgary, Alberta Foundation for the Arts, the Government of Canada, Calgary Arts Development, Inglewood BIA, CKUA Radio, Calgary Public Library, CADME, the Coalition for Music Education, Music Monday, Studio Bell, home of the National Music Center, Decidedly Jazz Danceworks, and the Music Mile. Thank you. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, please subscribe to this page, and if you want to receive more information about this or any of JazzYYC's other upcoming programming, please visit jazzyyc.com and become a member.